Janalakshmi is, in its current form, is about 7 years old. We are a one-stop shop for most of the financial needs that our customers have. We are in about 60 odd cities in India. This year we'll cover about 2.5 million customers. We offer a basic credit product, which is the group loan, but we wrap a range of other things around it. Much of the asset or the loan products we do on our own balance sheet, but stuff that we can't, like a savings product and others, a pension product, an insurance product, we distribute for other financial providers. But as far as the customer is concerned, we want them to see us as their one-stop shop. Because these are high transactions with low volume, low values, economics are large. Transaction economics can break your back. Control issues are very significant. Risk is a major problem for banking services. So it automatically then gets you to the point of saying, what do you do about technology? And I think we need to dream big. We need more sophisticated technology, in my opinion, than formal banking needs. And so how do you go about building that at a price point that makes sense and so on? So this is a long journey for us, and we've kind of built the foundation of a strong technology platform, what I call industrial strength technology, which is, as far as possible, digitizes our transactions with customers at source. So it's not about substituting, it's not about taking an analog transaction and then adding a technology layer to it, but eliminate the analog completely so that every transaction that you're doing with customers is automatically captured in a digital way. Because what you get out of it is not just a lot of information about what happens and reducing transaction costs, but you actually get a lot of insight if you can mine that information correctly. Because that digital data is available both to understand customers better, but also for performance management and so on. Today, India's banking system lends approximately, say, 50 lakh crores, which is about 5 million crores of rupees. And I don't know what the numbers in dollar terms are, but I think it's about $1 trillion, which is about 2/3 of our GDP. By all estimates, the sector that's not being covered by the banking system is order of magnitude the same, which is not there on the balance sheets of the banking system. So that's underground. That's being serviced through a variety of different means. Now, if you look at that number and then you say, where is the microfinance sector? Collectively, we are about 20,000 crores. So we're not even scratching the surface. And there's a whole range of things that we need to do, because what are we providing here? There is a single product, which is a group loan to a group of 5 people. Now, if I take the urban poor whom we are working with, we are learning that it's not a monolithic group of poor at the bottom of the pyramid. There is a pyramid at the bottom of the pyramid. There's a whole range of different customer segments with different aspirations, with different capabilities, with different abilities to springboard on their pathways to prosperity, and therefore different sets of needs for financial services. So at the top of the bottom of the pyramid is the micro entrepreneur, is someone who has built something, has already kind of, say, survived the first phase of, going beyond just an idea, and is ready to kind of move on and grow their enterprise. The data in India shows that over 25 million such enterprises exist, and over 90% of them don't have access to the banking system. Now, none of that is being serviced by the microfinance sector. And all of that is in that other white space outside the 20,000 crores. So we're just scratching the surface. But unfortunately, you can't do justice to the needs if you can operate only on a loan kind of a transaction. So that opens up the question to say, what else can you do? It's not just about inside the organization, but in terms of the regulatory climate, in terms of forging partnerships, and so on and so forth. The challenge of running a credible institution is fairly significant. And I'm talking about a plain old version 1.0 MFI, which is to take a group loan and to do that well, and to distribute that well and get the money back on time, and to do that and scale that program so that your operating costs come down and so on, and be able to say we can do this in a sustainable way and return some money to investors. Doing that is a complicated problem. Now, when one gets consumed by doing that, you lose sight of the customer, because the operational mechanics of running that makes the organization very inside out, which is all the technology, the instrumentalities, the metrics, how much is it costing us? What's the minimum scale we need to have for a branch? How do you size the branch? What's the feet on street organization? All of the words I'm using are inside out words. And, the danger is that you get caught up on the inside out worldview. And what we've learned over the years, and you have to force yourself to do this every day, is to say, this is great, but all that we've done with this group loan is earn the right to be relevant in the life of the customer. We're not even relevant yet. We're just beginning the journey to be relevant, because what we've shown to the customer when we're lending to them is that, we're willing to do something to help them on their journey. That's all it is. So if you want to be more relevant, then you have to start listening more, and then take that listening and convert it into something very sophisticated, which is adding value to that customer in a way that doesn't put pressure on their lives, because they've got enough pressure to deal with. So that part is really hard. And that calls for segmenting customers. That calls for saying, okay, there is different categories, and for each of these categories, we can actually learn something more. I can tell you, I've been doing this now for 7 years, and I feel I'm barely scratching the surface, because, like I said, we're learning now that there's a pyramid within the pyramid. Even today, despite all our technology and all our kind of fancy information systems, it's hard for us to synthesize information, to be able to say, what are the livelihoods of our customers? What's the pattern of that income and that expenditure? If there's a flower, seller outside a temple, where does she get her flowers from, which she then makes into a garland? Is there a wholesale market she goes to in the morning? How much does she pay? Where does she carry the money to go and pay for that in the morning? What is the details of the transactions by which she makes her money? When does it happen? Does it end by 10 in the morning? Because that's when people go to the temple. And then what happens with that? Does she want a savings product which we can then go and give her, which she says, it's good that the money gets taken away from my hand and put into a bank account, which I can access, because then I know it won't slip through my fingers by 5 o'clock. Now, we don't know any of what I'm telling you. I'd love to know this, but to know this and then to be able to take from it, enough information to say we can create a product around it. We can distribute that product well, which means I have to find the right feet on street. I have to find the right economics of delivering this, and we can make money out of this. That stuff is really complicated. So we're just beginning that journey. Human capital is a huge challenge. How do you get the kind of people, get them oriented to what this is about without losing a sense of purpose, without losing a sense of vision and values about what the enterprise is about? And there are multiple issues there, because the nature of what we do means that most of the talent, 75% of our people don't have college degrees of our staff. And that's the way it should be, because they reflect the customers whom we want to service. The danger is that these become parallel universes. So we need to allow people who are coming in on the street, who don't have that college degree to start, but who are incredibly talented. So you must give them credibly the signals to say, you may not have a degree today, but there's a path for you to ascend in the organization based purely on performance. And along the way, if you want to equip yourself with new tools like a degree or additional training or an exposure, the institution has an obligation and is committed to supporting you, which means that the leadership group, which is actually doing the complex stuff, is a porous membrane which allows talent to come in. And it's easy to talk about, it's very hard to do. And pulling this kind of a balancing act between the kind of talent that we acquire for the most part on the field and the kind of talent you need at the leadership level is a very, very significant challenge to do on scale. It's easy to do it in small numbers, but if you want to do, I believe that if we truly want to make a dent to financial inclusion, we need to build institutions of the tens of billions of dollars. We shouldn't be talking about small ticket transactions anymore. I think we owe it to ourselves and the size of the visions and the needs of this mass of people, that we've had enough of small transactions. We've had enough of 100 million and 200 million and 300 million. We need to build big institutions, and to do that you need to be able to solve these kinds of problems.